Okay, so once upon a time, there was this man named Joe who decided that sap in trees was going to be delicious if you put sugar in it. So he decided to get some sap out of trees and put sugar in it and cook it, and that's how maple syrup started. And then some other guy named Joe the Second came by and said, "Hey, can I get some of your sap with syrup in it or with sugar?" And Joe's like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." So then he started selling his sap with sugar in it, and yeah.
Okay, so when Joe the Second went to drink the syrup with sugar in it, Joe the Second went to pour it because they drank it like milk or water back then. And it turned into a big, fat, ugly unicorn. And the unicorn made a genie because that's how life works.
The genie said, "Welcome, everyone. I can grant you 3 wishes. What shall it be?" And Joe said, "You know, I want to go into the future." And Genie's like, "All right then." But for some reason, the genie brought all of them to the future, so now they were in the future, and it was all like cool, and they had robots and stuff, and they're like, "Dang, I want to be a robot." So Genie's like, "Okay." So he turned Joe into a robot, you see? Now Joe was now a robot. Robot Joe. So the second Joe was like, "Well, I want to be a robot too." But the genie's like, "No, the wishes are for him." So then Joe went, "Yes, they are for me. You can fight me for them though, using epic robot powers." And second Joe's like, "All right, I'll do that."
So all of a sudden, they realized they were turning into robots. They had absolutely no feeling. Their heart stopped beating. And the evil person and the Donald Trump, who had found a way to live forever, the robot decided to mind control them and turn them into robots like he did to all the citizens of US, North America, and the planet Earth. I, Donald Trump, have started global warming and doomed this planet.
So Donald Trump, he starts to use his mind control, right, to get Joe and Joe the Second to do his bidding. He says to Joe, "Tell me a joke." So Joe says, "Okay, what do you call a bagel that can fly?" And Donald Trump says, "What?" And Joe the Second says, "A plain bagel." And Donald Trump starts laughing uproariously, and he laughs so hard that his cyborg parts short circuit, and he goes into critical condition.
Okay, so anyways, Joe the Second decided that he didn't like Trump because no one laughs at a flying bagel joke. At least that's what he thought. So he's like, "Ha, Trump, you deserve to die. Keep dying." So then Trump starts crying, being like, "No, save me, save me. Tell me something really horrible and I'll stop laughing so hard and then I won't die anymore." But the Joe the Second, he's just like, "No way, you suck. Bagel jokes are just horrible and no one would laugh so hard. You deserve to die. So I'm gonna let you die." Trump's just like, "No, don't let me die." But Joe the Second's like, "No, you deserve to die." And then he walks away and finds the original Joe and tells the original Joe about the situation.
Just because Donald Trump is dead, he's dead, right? He should be dead. So now that he's dead, just because he's dead does not mean other cyborgs don't exist. And he had this cyborg piece and code in his body. If he ever malfunctions, then a bunch of tiny little robots will go onto other humans and create a very bad cyborg land where everybody needs no water. So water's overrated now. So is food. They get rid of all of it. Global warming's another problem again. And the only person who survives is Bob II in his little shack.
Original Bob. You know, Bob. I'm Bob II. He's back in his cabin. And then suddenly, it's been like 20 years now. He's been sitting in his cabin. So then, one day he sees Cyborg Joe and Joe II walk in. He's like, I thought you two were dead. And Cyborg Joe's like, we nearly died, but we ended up escaping. I know what to do. And then Bob's like, what? And then the magical genie from earlier comes back, and he's like, I have one more wish I can grant Cyborg Joe. And then Cyborg Joe says, bring us back to the past. And then Genie's like, I can do that. So they go back to the past, but they go a bit too far, and they end up in medieval England. So they're all like, oh, come on, we ended up in medieval England. And then Bob's like, you know, I kind of like it here. Why don't we all be knights and stuff? And they're like, all right, we can do that.
Halt, said a guard. What are you doing with the royal trebuchet? And then the guys are like, trebuchet? And then out of a crowd of thousands of knights and servants comes a young girl, and he's like, I'll handle them. Excuse me, how dare you enter my kingdom without my permission? You shall rot in the dungeons for this. Guards, seize them!
So these guys, they get dragged by a couple of guards towards a dungeon, right? They tell the genie that their final wish is for the dungeon to be blown to smithereens. And the genie, he grants this. He destroys the dungeon. There's bits of like dungeon bits flying all over, and this catches the guards off guard. So they let the Joes go. At this point, they get in the back of some sort of a wagon, and they book it out of this kingdom, and they escape the country and live happily ever after.